Frontline No Comrades is a free-for-all screw-your-neighbor card game for 2 to 8 players and requires approximately 15 to 20 minutes per game. Each player takes on the role of a freshly drafted soldier, marching faithfully to the front line, with the gentle encouragement of the commissar for guidance and inspiration. Your goal? Stay alive. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Think you've got what it takes to serve the motherland? Grab your socks and get ready for a fast-action card game where players try to stay alive by making sure their comrades get the worst of it. First, each player selects a character and a corresponding character ability, HP, and line cards. The ability card shows each character's unique attribute. Some of these are passive, others offer a single bonus or only trigger when special conditions are met. The HP card shows the character's health, and players keep track by placing their character ability card on top of the HP card, sliding down the track as the bombs start to fly. The first player to sit at the table determines the order of the character line. They can place the character line cards in any order they choose, and once determined they place the commissar at the end of the line, leaving an open space between him and the last comrade in line. The commissar never moves and never takes damage. He represents the end of the line and is always forcing the squad forward into battle. The comrade at the front of the line then receives the initiative card. Next, the action and incoming decks are shuffled and placed where all players can reach them. Generally, the incoming deck is placed at the front of the line, so everyone knows where the line begins and when the shots start firing. Finally, each player draws 5 action cards. Once everyone has 5 cards, players perform a draft. Each player chooses 1 card out of their starting 5 and then passes the remaining 4 to the player on the left. This process is repeated until each player has a new hand of 5 cards. Turns in Frontline No Comrades are simple and generally quick. A typical turn is as follows. At the start of each turn, 1 card is drawn from the incoming deck. Incoming cards represent the bad thing that is going to happen this turn, usually in the form of a weapon that is being fired at the squad. These cards show which space in the line is targeted, the amount of damage the attack causes, and what type of damage the attack counts as. Damage comes in 3 types. Linear, which travels in a straight line until it hits a viable target. Splash, which hits the target space and the 2 spaces adjacent to the target space. And Special, which have unique effects explained on the card. Many incoming cards also have extra special effects listed at the bottom of the card. Next, each player chooses 1 action card to play face down. Once all players have played a card face down, the action cards are revealed, starting with the player who currently has the initiative card. Action cards come in 3 types and are resolved as follows. Maneuvers. These cards allow players to move themselves or other players in a squad around the line, and they take effect as soon as they are revealed. Equipment. These cards represent different items that a player can equip to give them special bonuses during the game. Once they're revealed, they're considered in play and remain from the player that played the card until they're used. Some equipment cards are 1 use only, while others will have a durability number which is reduced by 1 each time the effect on the card is used. Once the durability reaches 0, the equipment is discarded. Events. Event cards are the wild cards of the game, which cause all sorts of havoc and chaos among the line. If they're placed as a face-down action card, they're discarded immediately and have no effect. However, each player is allowed to play 1 event card at any time during each turn. When played this way, the event card is resolved immediately. Event cards are usually where one will find the chaos and backstabbing of the game. Once all players have revealed their action cards, the current incoming card is resolved. Any player that suffers damage from the incoming card should adjust their character HP card accordingly. Any effects that the incoming card causes should be resolved as well. If any character is reduced to 0 HP, that character is dead and removed from the line. When this happens, the commissar moves forward 1 space, forcing players toward the front of the line and shortening the length of line. After resolving the current incoming card, the initiative card is passed to the left, and each player replenishes their hand back up to 5 cards. Play continues in this way until there's 1 or 0 players remaining. Now that we have gone over how turn sequence works, let's jump into a game and see how a full round plays out. Here we have a game already in play. The players start by revealing a new incoming card. In this case, they draw Ricochet. As we can see, this is a linear effect, which means it will travel in a straight line until it hits a standing player. It causes 1 damage to the player that is hit, but also has an additional effect of doing more damage for each dodge card that is played this turn. It targets the first space, so one of the target cards is placed underneath the first space in a line. This lets all the players know which space in a line is the most dangerous this turn. Note, some incoming cards place 2 target cards. Each player now puts an action card face down in front of them. Let's see what they do. Since Will has the initiative card, his action card is revealed first, continuing in a clockwise order. Will plays a Retreat 2. This means he moves towards the back of the line 2 spaces. Movement in Frontline No Komrades is very simple. Komrades move 1 space at a time, regardless of the number of spaces they are moving. When a comrade moves into a space occupied by another comrade, heading towards the open space, the comrade it moves into is pushed 1 space ahead of it. When a comrade moves into a space occupied by another comrade, heading away from the open space, the comrade it moves into swaps locations with it. First, Boris moves back 1 space and lands into Sergei's space. Since he is moving towards the open space, this pushes Sergei 1 space in the same direction that Boris is moving. In this case, that will push Sergei into Dominica's space, push Dominica into Oxena's space, and push Oxena into the open space. The open space is now at the front of the line. With his second move, Boris continues to move towards the back of the line. Once again, he lands into Sergei's space. In this case though, Boris is moving away from the open space, so since there is no room to push the line, he and Sergei swap locations. This is a good move by Will, because now Sergei is in danger of being hit. However, since Will had to play his action card first, his plans could still get foiled by the rest of the players. This is the big disadvantage of going first. Sergei is next to reveal his card. Wanting to play it safe, he played a dodge card. Dodge and dive cards allow a comrade to ignore linear damage for the turn. In his case, Brian taps his card sideways as a visual reminder. This isn't necessary, but it acts as a nice reminder for everyone else. Dominica is next and has played a Shell Shock event card. When an event card is played in this way, it is discarded with no further effect. In this case, Dominica stays put. This is a good way to get rid of cards that you don't want, or to try and stay in the same space, or perhaps Vlad didn't have a good play, or any play this turn. Either way, we'll move on to Andrew. Oxena felt pretty safe starting in the back of the line, and has played an equipment card. Andrew places the helmet next to his character ability and HP cards to show everyone that it is equipped. As long as the helmet is in play, Oxena benefits from its effect, which in this case is to ignore the next sniper incoming card that hits him, or to avoid a Shell Shock event card played against him. Now that everyone's action cards have been revealed, let's see what happens. The target space is currently unoccupied. While this may seem like a relief to everyone, don't get too comfortable yet. This incoming card was a linear effect. This means that if it does not hit a comrade, it continues moving down the line until it does. Since the target space is empty, the shot moves down the line to the next space. In this case, Sergei is dodging, so he ignores the linear effect. The shot will continue down the line, and despite Will's planning, it looks like he's going to get hit anyway. However, before that happens, Vlad plays an event card. Remember that each player can play one event card at any point during a turn, and the event card takes effect immediately. Vlad plays the As Boot card on the Brian, which cancels a dodge or dive card played by another player. This forces Sergei to return to a standing position, and he takes the hit instead of Boris. The incoming card indicates that the shot causes 1 damage, but if we remember the extra effects, it does an additional damage for each dodge card played. Sergei played a dodge card earlier in the turn, so this makes the shot cause 2 damage. However, Sergei's special ability allows him to suffer 1 less damage from linear effects, at the risk of taking 1 more damage from splash effects. In the end, Sergei suffers 1 damage, and Brian records this by moving his character ability card 1 point down his HP card. So, with nothing left to resolve this turn, Wu passes the initiative card to his left, to Brian, and everyone draws back up to 5 cards. A new incoming card is revealed, and it's the landmine. This is a special type card that indicates that it is placed in the open space, and a new incoming card is drawn immediately. The first comrade to move into open space triggers the landmine and takes 3 damage. It's important to note that even though the open space now contains the landmine, it is still considered the open space. Only characters can occupy a space, and there's always 1 open space in the line. A new incoming card is drawn, and it is a grenade. This is a splash effect, and it targets the open space. However, being a splash effect, it also will hit the spaces adjacent to the open space, and causes 3 damage to each. The target card is placed under the open space, and currently the first and second spaces of the line are in danger of being hit by the grenade. The front of the line is looking awfully scary right now. Once again, everyone begins to place an action card face down, but before Brian even has a chance to reveal his card, Wu plays a Commissar Punch event card. This allows Will to choose any other comrade and force him to the first space. He chooses Oksana. This would normally force Andrew to remove Oksana from the line and place her in the first space. No normal movement would take place. However, Andrew has no plans to step on that landmine and plays an event card of his own. Nope. This cancels an event card placed against his comrade. Oksana stays put, and now Will and Andrew can no longer play an event card this turn. This is important for Brian and Vlad, because Will and Andrew are now both a bit more vulnerable to any event cards that Brian or Vlad play this turn. Starting with Brian, action cards are now revealed. Brian begins by playing the car door equipment card and puts it into play. The next time Sergei is hit, Brian can choose the closest comrade to suffer the hit instead. Vlad is next, but before he reveals, he plays the No Surrender event card. This lets him move the comrade with the most HP to the front of the line. While everyone normally starts with 10 HP, Oksana's special ability is that she starts with 12 instead. Sorry, Andrew. Oksana is placed in the first space and triggers the landmine, taking 3 damage. Andrew records the damage on his HP card. Vlad continues his turn and reveals an advance 1 maneuver. He moves Dominika towards the front of the line, 1 space, swapping places with Boris. Next up is Andrew, and he reveals a retreat 1 maneuver. He moves 1 space towards the rear, pushing the entire line back. Unfortunately, Oksana is still not out of harm's way due to the splash damage. Finally, Will, who was first to play last turn, is last to reveal his action card this turn. He reveals the relocate maneuver. which allows him to move the target card one space in either direction. Hoping to cause more damage to his comrades, he moves the target card one space back. The grenade will now land in the second space, and due to the splash damage it causes, will also hit the first and the third spaces. However, before the grenade goes off, Brian throws down a "Look Out Me" event card. This allows him to move a splash effect card to any other comrade. He chooses to place the target card on Dominica's space, saving Oksana from the potential hit and instead placing Boris into the splash effect. When all is said and done, the grenade goes off. Dominica is in a target space, suffers 3 damage, and Vlad records it on his HP card. We see that both Sergei and Boris are also in a splash effect and will also suffer 3 damage. Will records his damage on his HP card, and Brian would do the same. However, before he records the damage, a few things happen. First, Sergei's ability comes into play. While we saw that he reduces damage from linear attacks, he also suffers 1 extra damage from splash attacks. In this case, that would mean a total of 4 damage. Luckily, Brian had played the card door this turn, which allows him to redirect the hit to an adjacent comrade. He decides to spread the love and forces Oksana to take the hit, and she suffers the total 4 damage. Andrew records the damage, and now the entire line is looking a bit worse for wear. So there you have it, the ruse and a few turns of frontline no comrades in play. Will you answer the call?